Here's a few basic tips on sharpening knives. I bought this knife somewhere like at a thrift store or something, so I'll use that. If the knife is already fairly sharp, or it has been sharpened recently, but you feel like it's not quite as sharp as you want, you can use a steel. All the steel does is realign the jagged edges into less jagged edges. It doesn't remove any steel from the blade, it just realigns them. So here's how I've been taught to use a steel. You go down on one side, up on the other. So down on one side, up on the other. And you're trying to keep the same angle going down as coming up. So the angle of the blade could change, but keep it constant, some 20 or some odd degree angle. So when it goes fast, it looks like this. So that's the most efficient way. Anyway, all that does is realign the edges. That's already pretty sharp. A couple of other ways to sharpen things is use this leather thing, like a leather strop or something. You put a little of this yellow stuff on there, like that, and then you drag it away from you. And what it does is kind of puts a mirror finish on it, on the edge, and it just slightly sharpens, because this stuff is for when the blade is already pretty sharp. And it's useful for things like these carving knives that are already very sharp, but you want to put just a little more edge on it. So you keep the same angle going back and forth. Think of your wrist as almost like a fixed object as you drag it back and forth. Fixed. And you'll notice you do that 10 or 20 times, you'll get quite the shine. You can even take a dull blade that maybe has a little rust on it, like this open nail. It's not a stainless, it's a high carbon non-stainless steel knife. And if I see some like rusty spots or some gray spots, you can get a mirror finish on that just by rubbing the blade upon this leather block with some of this sharpening polish stuff on it. You do that a few times, you'll see that the leather becomes black and the blade starts to shine up like a mirror finish. A couple other knife sharpening tools is like this diamond edge tool, and it has two sides, like a coarse and a fine. So when the blade is sort of really dull, you use the coarse side. Once again, you're keeping an angle that's perfectly still. You don't want to let the blade get flat, or you'll scratch up your blade and you'll create too fine an edge. So you want to keep it at some sort of fixed angle to the blade of your desire. You do that, 10 or 20 times on each side, on the coarse side, and you do the same thing on the fine side, because it says fine and coarse right there. So I love this one. It's a quick sharpening tool, kind of a diamond edge. Here's an old school tool. Bought this when I was out of town, when I just knew I needed to sharpen knives but didn't have my usual tools. This kind of stone, requires some like honing solution. You put that honing solution on there, and then this is sort of a coarse edge. You can see it's dark and light, and you can feel the coarseness. Same kind of thing, you can drag it away from you, but I think most people recommend dragging it to you. The sharpening is the same technique for all of these. You just keep a constant angle going back and forth, and then you do it again on the less coarse side, and it's going to work. Here's a couple other things. This is a ceramic rod. So this is similar to the steel. Use the same techniques back and forth, but this actually does remove a little steel. So if you have a blade that's not sharp, this will sharpen it, and it's pretty quick. It doesn't give as fine an edge as, say, obviously this leather, and it doesn't even quite give a fine edge to me as this fine diamond tool here. And last but not least, there's a couple of others. Here's a little pocket sharpening tool, and it has a little thing. This is useful for blades that have teeth on them. I think Spyderco may have used something like this to sharpen their teeth, and it also too has diamond particles there that'll give it instant sharpen. I'm not doing this too much because this blade is already sharp and I don't want to mess it up. I think that covers all of the basic kind of techniques I was going to talk about, and this is just an experimental video anyway. Alright, good talking to you.